Hey everybody, Mark Howell with Grounded Truths LLC out of Doniphan, Missouri here. Today I want to talk about DIY burn planning. What this means specifically, I'm looking to talk to landowners and private citizens who are interested in conducting their own prescribed burns and they want a plan that meets this Prescribed Burning Act guidance, because that helps demonstrate prudence versus negligence, right? So Missouri is a simple negligence state under the Prescribed Burning Act. We're a simple negligence state for damages resulting from smoke or an escape of a prescribed burn, except in the case of utility, railroad, other public rights of way, is strict liability still. But really what I want to touch on is, what does this, as we see here, format approved by MDC, the Missouri Department of Conservation. So they didn't specify a template. They didn't specify a format. They said, if you are meeting these elements right here, you have a format approved by MDC. They are good with what you're doing. So let's talk about these really quickly. I'm going to run through this real quick. So description of the burn unit. What are you burning? Where are you burning? This is Farmer John's old homestead, Township 23 North, Range 3 West, Section 14 Southwest of the Southwest, latitude, longitude. What are you burning? Are you burning grass? Are you burning timber litter? Map of the burn unit, we'll talk about this in a future video. There's actually a very good free resource that you can use, a mapping resource I'll tell you about that you can use for creating prescribed fire ignition maps very quickly, simply, and easily. And best of all, it is free for the basic version. Objectives of the burn. What are you looking to accomplish by putting fire on the ground? Looking to reduce timber litter fuel load. I'm looking to top kill saplings and seedlings to clear out the understory. I'm looking to stimulate warm season grass growth. Whatever your objective is, it needs to be clearly defined in your burn plan. Weather conditions, fire behavior. So this is where you get into, how do I accomplish those objectives with the fire? And what fire behavior do I need to achieve my objectives? And from that, you then tier into your desired weather conditions, which is your RH, your temperatures, your fuel moistures, etc. What setting is going to set the stage for the fire behavior that is going to then accomplish the objectives? A little bit beyond the scope to get into talking about spatial fire analysis, modeling, fire intelligence, etc. But if folks are interested, I'm more than happy to go into that in future videos. By the way, if you're finding this useful, please like, subscribe, you know the gig, click the little bell, give me a little help out here and help me get the word out to other folks. Fire breaks. Where are you putting them? What are they? Is it a leaf blower line in the timber litter? Is it a mower line in the grass? Is it a getting folks out with hand tools and scraping the ground to mineral soil? What are you doing? What are the line specs? What is it? How wide? And again, that's tiered off of fire behavior. What do I need to control the fire that I'm about to set? Okay. Number of crew members, type of equipment needed, again, tiers back to expected fire behavior. How many folks do we need to successfully light and hold our prescribed burn? And what type of equipment do they need to have with them? Safety plan, including contingency plan. This is your what to do when things go sideways. And that could be anything from, I have a spot fire across my line, someone slipped and tripped and broke their ankle, twisted their ankle, my ATV or UTV rolled over. What are the likely things to happen that could go wrong, and how do you deal with them? And who do you notify? Smoke management, that's another huge one. That could be a whole nother 20-minute video on its own. Public safety, neighbor notification list. This is vital. Let your folks know, let your neighbors know what you're doing. Call your dispatch center for the sheriff, for the fire department. Let them know, hey, I'm going to be burning. This is under control. It's a prescribed burn. I have a plan. I have a crew in place. Here's my contact info if there's any questions. And this is where I'm at. And if I call you and say, hey, I need help, get help here fast. So that pre-briefing really kind of helps you set the tone of this being a positive thing. Nobody likes surprises, especially in the public safety world. Finally, your mop-up standards. So this is basically what you're going to do to secure the fire You've lit it. You're looking good. We're ready to release resources for the day and let folks go home or to whatever else you're going to do for the day. What do we need to do to secure those fire lines and ensure that nothing spots out of the line? Do we need to move burning heavy stuff interior? Do we need to get out our backpack pumps or our ATV sprayers and squirt stuff out? What do we need to do to make that fire safe to leave for the night so we can come back, and we call it patrol status. So we come back the next day and we patrol that burn and make sure everything's good. So what do we need to do to accomplish that mission to make it safe for us to walk away from that burn for the night? And then we'll move on to the template, and I'll show you how to put all this together. All right, so now we're looking at our burn plan template. This is from the Natural Resource Conservation Service. I don't necessarily like this template, but it is a commonly accepted standard. You can Google it online, look up NRCS or Natural Resource Conservation Service Prescribed Burn Plan Missouri. It should take you to this template. It's an Excel spreadsheet. Should take you to this. You can download it. You can fill it in. You can use it. It's golden. So real quick up here, mostly this is administrative stuff, who the landowner is, where it's located, how many acres you're going to burn. That's important. How many acres, and the planned timing. So this could be, it doesn't necessarily need to be this targeted. This was targeted this way for specific resource management objective of basically clearing ground and doing as much damage as possible to seedlings, saplings, grasses, and seed beds to really just set it all back and make some clear ground for this guy to go seed what he wants to put on his property, because it's already been logged. All of the timber, the merchantable timber's taken. It's really open. They left some good crop trees of acorns and hickory, but we're doing something very targeted. This could say winter, spring, or fall, or dormant season, or growing season. You don't have to necessarily tear it down to this specific of month like. Location, this is legal location, like on a plat map from your assessor. What's your township range and section? Land use. This is important because this informs the rest of your what you're going to do with your objectives, right? So in this case, the woodland has already been logged. It's essentially at this point been converted to open savanna, really. And now this guy's going to want to clear the ground and use it for rural residential use. Plant cover. So this is talking about the different types of things that are on the ground, present on the site that you are going to burn. So woody plants, trees. There's an oak hickory mix. It's really open, really light. Height about 60 feet, so it's all mature. The trees that they left were mature timber, but they left some good shade and crop trees. Basal diameter. This is your average diameter or breast height of your trees that are in this area. So about 12 inch. They left some decent trees in there. Less than 50%, and this is canopy as full leaf out. So at full leaf out, this oak hickory mix covers about 50% of the ground with shade, right? That's the way I read this anyway. So other folks may have other opinions. But the ultimate thing is that canopy shading and or cloud shading is a big driver of fire behavior. So that's how I look at this, is how much is my ground fuels going to be shaded? How much are my surface fuels going to be shaded? And because that's really going to drive my fire behavior in my analysis later. Herbaceous plants, right? So they break this out. Cool season grasses, warm season grasses. He didn't really have much cool season grass on his property. His neighbors did, but he did not. His property was some broom sedge, mixed warm seasons, typical like some blue stem, etc. But really short, relatively really sparse. So I put, less than 1 ton per acre. How do you get that? If you Google photo load sampling, Rocky Mountain Research Station, there's actually a document on how to take a photo, compare it to graphics, and that tells you. Generally speaking, though, when you've been doing fire and fire effects monitoring for a number of years, as I have, you just kind of learn to ocular and professional opinion it and go, oh, yeah, that's not that much grass. Yeah, that's, it's 3/4 ton per acre. It's real sparse, right? It's 1/2 ton per acre. It's sparse. So you can kind of eyeball that stuff. You don't necessarily need to go out and take photo plots. Some mixed broadleaf, some forbs, a little bit of sapling regen, yada, yada. 1 foot, little tiny stuff, not really going to be significant to modifying any fire behavior. Topography. So when we talk about topography, slope is rise over run slope. So this is the angle slope, not the 20% of the property is northwest aspect. No, this is the northwest aspect's the greatest slope. If I go out 100 feet, I'm going to go up or down 20 feet, right? That's what we're looking at with slope. Objectives. So these are real simple, check the box. We're going to control woody plants. So basically we're looking to nuke things out, create bare ground, right? So we're going to control the woody plants. We're going to remove litter, create bare ground, remove the grass, weaken the seed bed, etc. And then with these detailed additional objectives, you can really fine tune that and give some numbers to this. Like we say here, top kill 40 to 80% of hardwood seedlings and saplings. That's giving us a definable objective. I could take a picture before and count the green stems of hardwood seedlings and saplings. And then 6 months after the burn, I could go back, take another picture, count how many of them died, and split the difference between the two. That tells me my percentage of top kill, right? How well did I do relative to this objective? Basic monitoring 101. Picture before, picture after. There you go. Acceptable conditions. This is your prescriptive parameters, and this is what really drives what makes this a prescribed burn, right? The important piece is here. 20 foot above ground wind speed. Most forecasts, 20 foot. So that's 20 foot above your head, treetop level, etc., right? So like if you're standing in the forest, it's actually 20 feet above the top of the trees, not 20 feet through the trees. So this is essentially your unmodified wind speed. And your eye level wind speed, what you feel, is going to be at most maybe about 60% of the 20-foot winds. There's actually a formula to figure that out. Fireline Handbook, Appendix B, they actually talk about sheltering, etc. That's way beyond the scope of this right now. Happy to talk about it in the future. Or drop a comment, ask a question. I'm happy to address those. But for right now, we generally assume what you're going to feel in your face is about half of what that 20% or 20-foot wind speed is going to be. So, due to the fuel type there is mostly grasses, right? It's mostly grass, a little bit of leaf litter on the western end of property. So, the grasses are very sensitive to humidity. And at 60%, we're pretty much hitting what's called moisture of extinction, which is the point at which grasses, the fuel really doesn't care anymore. It doesn't actively burn on its own. You need to help it along. So really at 60% RH, we're wasting gas if we try and conduct that prescribed burn on a 60% RH day, pretty much regardless of the winds. I left this in here that you could probably do like 45 to 59. I left that in there. But generally the blue is too cold. The red is too hot. So 25% RH and 12 mile an hour, 20 foot is 6 mile an hour in your face wind. That's going to be moving at a pretty good clip. 35% in grasses is about the tipping point. You really don't want, at 35% and below, you really start to see a pretty big increase of fire behavior, and that goes exponentially for grasses as it gets down closer to the 20s, the teens, the single digits. However, 35 to 39% or 40 to 45, 35 to 45% with these winds, we're in the green zone. We're perfect. This is exactly what we want to happen. It's going to be controllable, but it's going to move. It's going to achieve the objectives and accomplish the purpose. So, again, this is all spatial fire modeling, fire knowledge, etc. A subject of another video for another time. I just want to get through this plan as quickly as possible. So specific or ideal weather conditions, this is what your dream day looks like that, is never going to happen, but let's get as close as possible because that's going to achieve exactly what we want with minimal resources and minimal spotting potential, and it's just going to be great and chef's kiss. Awesome. Comments, and this is generally like, for example, the CNS that's talking about the C is a cloudy day and or you're doing it in the morning or evening. Before the heat of the day or away from the heat of the day, before or after. S is, hey, yeah, it's full send, sunny, it's bright, it's the heat of the day, who cares, go ahead and do it. Best wind direction and what the map that your plan is based upon, what direction that is. Okay, this is generally like a narrative of what you're going to put in your map, and this is what it's going to look like, and this is how it's going to work. So I'll let you read that really quickly there. If you're a speed reader, awesome. If not, pause it. There you go. I'm going to move on for now. So preparation of area for burning. This is talking about what you're going to do in terms of fire breaks, right? Fire breaks 2 times the height of the adjacent vegetation. You want mineral soil as much as possible. Yada yada. There's a few notes in there about all this, right? So what kind of fire breaks? Well, we're gonna in this case I had them do like a 6-foot scrape with they had heavy equipment in there already doing some work. It's like, hey, while you're at it, put me in a fire line. So they bladed a fire line for me around his property. Beautiful dozer line, good to go. Ultimately, I put in you could have someone go through with the weed eater or mower and cut back the stuff that is near the fire line if you really had concerns for whatever reason. Other option, you could black line it under cooler conditions and come back, but really that wasn't necessary for this particular. Just left the option in there just in case. A description of the existing fire breaks, what is in place, what can you do, talking about the hazards, snags, power lines, what to do to mitigate those. This here, I kind of use this, the special precaution area. I really use that to kind of describe the general surrounding country and terrain and the potentials. This is in wildland fire, this would constitute a kind of a deliberate risk analysis of what's likely to happen and how bad is it going to be. This is your equipment and personnel needs. So what do you need to bring to the party to be successful here? You have all these safety equipment items that every crew member should have with them. What tools and equipment? So in this case, we want 2 drip torches, a backpack sprayer, a flapper, a blower, cell phones, some radios, hand tools, and a chainsaw. How many people? We need 5 minimum. Okay. Landowner or designee is going to be the burn boss. 2 people doing ignition, 2 people doing holding. And as we've completed ignitions, now everyone rolls over in a mop up and everyone picks up a tool, everyone picks up the backpack sprayer or whatever, and you get to work mopping up that fire to what the standards are, right? Things to do. This is kind of checklists for, hey, if things go sideways, these are your precautions. This is your, what happens, your contingency of safety of, hey, we had a spot fire. What do we do? Right here is set up for you, patrol and mop up standards. And then we'll talk about the map and then your signature blocks. So the map is going to be a separate video and I will get that up to you as soon as possible. I think ultimately it's going to be a really great thing. It's a free tool. It makes things really super simple and easy to understand. I think you guys are going to love it. That's all I got for the written plan of the park. Come back for part 2 of the map here really soon.